I really dug your film, been a fan of your work, so thanks for taking the time.
Thank you very much for having me.
All right, so let's start with the obvious first question, right? I look back at your career. You've had decades of experience in Hollywood. A key player at DreamWorks. So why make this movie that Christmas with Richard Curtis for Locksmith? Why is this your feature debut film?
I mean, the easy answer is why not, but I'll give you a better answer. I mean, I've between Dragons 2 and Dragons 3, I started directing episodes of television, and I really, felt like it was an expansion of my experience as an animation artist to be working with editorial and actors and music and screenplays. I just was really kind of interested in sort of seeing what sort of would be the expansion of that, having done 12 years of How to Train Your Dragon, being the head of animation on all those movies. And so I really kind of caught a bug, of doing that. And I had been in conversation with Locksmith Animation a few times before. They wanted me as a head of animation on Ron's Gone Wrong. And then I said, listen, I really want to direct. This is what I'd like to do. And after having done some television, to me, a feature would be a dream. And I think it was just because I had this conversation with them at that time. They came across this children's book called The Empty Stocking that was written by this British luminary that in England everybody knows, Richard Curtis, because he created, Red Nose Day and all these charities and was really present in the UK. And when we started talking, and I said, yes, that sounds amazing. Like I'd love that, like in Christmas, Richard Curtis, a grounded world with a large cast of characters that sounded like right up my alley. And so, of course, I immediately said yes. And very quickly during that time, we realized that there were two books out already, and there was a third one in the making. And it was the Locksmith Animation executives that said, wait, if we have Richard Curtis writing a screenplay and we have multiple stories that are all about Christmas, is there a way to perhaps intertwine these storylines and tell kind of a sweeping Christmas movie, a feature? And could we bring somebody on board like Netflix? And of course, that was like a Richard Curtis movie in animation for a family audience is the easiest pitch you can have in Hollywood. And of course, it got snapped up really quickly, and Netflix came on board with full enthusiasm.
Oh, that's awesome. All right, so I went and I looked at the source material, Richard's books, and the animation is cute, but it's very simple 2D animation, meant for small children. And obviously the film is beautifully done with these great characters. So talk about like the evolution and the character design, because apart from Miss Tapper, everyone has these like cute, warm, rounded features, but she's more sharp and pointed and aquiline for her personality. So talk about making the bridge from the source material to the actual film.
Yeah, I actually, this was a part of the journey for me and Richard, was that we sort of had to come together and find each other, and in that process, learning a tremendous amount from each other. He says that really beautifully. Like to him, this whole experience of doing animation and storyboards and being able to rewrite as you go along was extremely enjoyable to him. But for me, I had to sort of walk him through because he was quite keen on sort of holding on to Rebecca Cobb, the illustrator's style. And I said to him, what's great about your films is the comedy, the emotion, the drama, the believability in the character, but also sort of the wish fulfillment aspect of it. I really want characters that can perform at the level of your writing. And in order to do that, I needed slightly more three-dimensional, fleshed out characters that the audience can recognize that as this is a school teacher from this at this age with this kind of outfit and this kind of characterization. So we really had to find a character designer that would give us both the wonderful illustrative look that had the charm or brought the charm from the books, but that gave us this ability to perform quite complex performances. And I'll give you an example. That scene where Danny is in the kitchen and he finds out that the mom is getting a phone call from the hospital, and that she's the only one who is in walking distance during this blizzard. That exchange is quite real. It's quite a realistically played out scene where these little looks of emotions had to tell so much. And so we needed the combination of those two worlds to come together. And so that was kind of a process to find that. But God, were we happy with, early results of early animation tests. And Richard was sold so quickly on this whole thing. And yeah, that was part of the journey.
All right, so here's a hard question, right? So, Richard's gone out, and it's obvious from the film, it's actually the best part of the film, that this is a story of inclusion, multiculturalism, because you don't see, diverse Christmas films. You don't see it, especially with Bernadette's three women play, right? But we know, out there in this world, there's all this vitriol. There's all these people who are, conservative traditionalists that go batshit crazy whenever something comes out and challenges the norm, right? So here you've made a film with a diverse cast, with children who believe in climate change and so on and so forth. What do you say to those naysayers to have them watch your film on Netflix?
I mean, it's funny. I just see my own truth, and so does Richard. And honestly, if you walk around the UK, it's an extremely diverse community. Yes, there's pockets, and but so I felt like personally, I was very clear about that. Listen, I don't want to make a film that feels like 20 years ago. I want to, if anything at all, I want to make a feel that feels like the lives that we live in 10 years. So for me, it was forward looking. And and I mean, I'm married to a Japanese woman, so I'm in an interracial relationship that which we never think about, never even talk about. It's not even a, so to me, it's just natural. It feels completely natural and right. So what we were very, very careful. I mean, again, it's sort of the thing that's so natural to me that I don't even think about too much. But like even the conversation about the boring old Christmas movie, right? In the script, that boring old Christmas movie was going to be Miracle on 34th Street. And I go like, well, that's not true. The boring old Christmas movie is the movies that kids watch today, and it's very likely Love Actually. Do you know what I mean? And so, which of course Richard didn't know until we showed him, which was very funny. But so I always felt like, well, I just want to say something that I feel is true to me, which is kids are anxious about climate change, 100%, and I think they're anxious about climate change in the conservative states as well. And so for me, it was quite fun actually to make this film in the UK, and being a little bit outside of US politics. Actually, I didn't, I followed the news, yes, but I was very Europe-centric news. So for me, it just all felt natural. I don't even think it's a particular statement that we're making other than this feels real and right to us. I mean, the three wise women to me just felt like that's Bernie. That makes sense, right? If you're the idea of and I think that's sort of one of the takeaways for the film for me is that it's not quite the theme of the movie, but it's one of the themes of the movie, which is um, traditions should be challenged, and the traditions that are there for reasons are the ones that will remain. And the traditions that we are hanging on for the wrong reasons are it's probably a good idea that they go away. And I thought there was no better messenger than Bernie, who's a rebel, but she's a family person. She loves her sister. She loves her parents. She's not a skateboarding punk that wants to be anywhere but at home. But I think it's true that Christmas for a 15-year-old staying home with the parents and doing the same boring thing is probably something that a lot of teenagers find like I would be happy to change that. So that felt all true
Bravo.
to me,
That's a great answer, mate. Well said. Well said. All right, so let me throw a different question here because they just dropped the live action trailer for How to Train Your Dragon. I know you've worked with Dean for years, and he's doing the live action version. So, I mean, did they come to you for any advice, get any opinion? I mean, what do you think of it? Did you see it?
I mean, of course very close to Dean. We're friends, and I have known about it from the very beginning. And he even asked me before he even said yes. Like, is it? Do you think this is a good idea? And I had always t said to him, even like he's been skeptical about some of the, sort of the fear of it being just a cash grab or whatever on the Disney movies and all the remakes. And I had to always tell him, listen, the live action remake of The Jungle Book is better than the original, and The Jungle Book, the animated Jungle Book, to me is my favorite animated movie of all times. But story wise, like there was something there that I felt was really a new experience. And if there is a DreamWorks movie that I would love to see as a live action film, it's How to Train Your Dragon, because we've completed the animated trilogy. We are extremely proud of it. We think it stands on its own as a series of animated films. So for DreamWorks to want, or Universal to want to reimagine it as a live action film, I go like wouldn't you like imagine How to Train a Dragon in sort of a Harry Potter-esque world? I'd love to see that. I think it'd be great, and I don't think it takes away from the animated movie at all. And the fact that Dean is actually the director of this film to me is like that's just brilliant. And when I saw the teaser, I mean, so I got to tell you, I've seen the film twice already, and I absolutely love it. I think those who will walk into this film wanting to see it will absolutely love it. Those who will walk into the film wanting to hate it because they think it's why does it need to exist? I don't know if they're going. I have a feeling they're going to be convinced that it was worth it, but that's going to be a tough one. I think it's brilliant. I love it. I hope it's
Awesome.
so successful that they're going to do the second and the third, because I'd love to see what Hiccup's mother looks like, in the second movie, or like I'd love to see that. I think it's brilliant.
Awesome. All right, they give me the wrap notice. I'm going to sneak one last question in. So, Dean, went on into live action, is now doing a live action film. Now, this may be overstating the case because this is your first feature, but what do you see in your future? Are you going to stick in animation? Are you going to go in live action? What's your next project?
Well, I don't really know. I've always, prevented myself from shutting doors towards something. I'm very much in love with animation. I still am, and I'd love to do another feature. I hope something comes along, or I can maybe realize one of my own ideas. That would be my dream. Because it's my feature directorial debut. I think the world will have to see the film first to judge for themselves of whether I get the right to do another one. I very much bet that it will, but I honestly, I don't, that's for other people to decide. But I really love doing it, and again, for me, as a sort of journey from being a traditional animator, pencil on paper, through becoming a head of animation on the Dragon films to becoming a director, it's such a journey of growth and new experiences to get to do something new and different every step of the way, but be able to use your experience in that is, I think, what life's about. And so far, I've enjoyed every minute of it, and so I hope to get to do it again.
Bravo, sir. You made a great film, and I look forward to seeing your next work. Cheers. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Great to talk to you, Julian.